Let's talk a little bit about the difference between commercial and residential properties. First, let me define. When I'm talking about a residential investment, I'm talking about a single-family residence, a house that you're using as a rental property. All other investment property I'm talking about is commercial. So apartments would be commercial. If you're just starting your investment career, I seriously suggest buying a small house, or two, or three, or a dozen. By buying a small house, first off, it limits your risk. The exposure on a small house is a lot less than buying some commercial property. Additionally, you'll learn the ins and outs of the transaction, title, closing, borrowing money, working with a lender, working with a title company, working with the brokers. It'll get you to understand all of it without having the possibility of getting too hurt. It'll also give you a good idea as far as management, because you'll have to manage that property, lease it out, take care of the residents, and you'll see all the different difficulties in managing a rental property. Like I said, with one, it's not a problem. 2, 3, 4, 5, not a problem either. But what you will find out is you'll know the ins and outs of the transaction, you'll know whether you like or dislike management, and you'll have a good feel for the investing side. Another big benefit is right now you can make about 20 grand per house that you do. So if you're just building up your investment capital, if you can get 5 houses, make 20 grand on each one of them, now you have your $100,000 to start off your investing career in commercial properties. Again, I've got a little sadistic reason for wanting you to buy rental properties also, single-family rental properties, is you find out what a pain in the butt it is. And either you'll love it or you'll hate it. But in any case, you'll have the understanding and the knowledge. First big difference is management. When you buy a commercial property, built into the expenses are management fees to pay a professional management company. This saves a lot of the headache, a lot of the time and energy required in managing properties. Now you can manage the property yourself and still build in a fee in there for your management services. By having a management company, that stops those midnight calls because of a stopped up toilet, or the calls on Thanksgiving because the oven isn't working, and any one of a number of other potential problems. Now you can buy enough single family homes and build that up large enough to have a management company that runs all those. It's not as cost effective because you have homes spread out all over town, or many towns as a possibility. So eventually you want to consolidate and get into a commercial property to save you the time and energy on single family, and also to start really growing your portfolio much larger. A big key between the difference on residential and commercial, on residential properties, the value, no matter how much you raise or lower the rents, within reason, the value is only going to be worth the sales comps in that area. They value residential properties based on the sales comps, not on the income. Whereas in commercial property, if you can raise the income, you're raising the value of the property. So in single family, you don't have as much control over really increasing your balance sheet. Vacancy is another factor. Let's just say you buy one house. If that house is vacant, you're 100% vacant. It's all out of pocket for you. Whereas if you have a multi-tenant property and one of those units is vacant, you've got a much lower vacancy rate. One of the other differences, which may be a pro or a con depending on which way you're looking at it, is the lending market. In single family, you are qualifying for a loan to buy that house. They're looking at you for the income, you for the credit, and everything is very streamlined and very cookie cutter. Whereas in commercial properties, it's a little more difficult, but there are other benefits as well. It's possible to get loans that are non-recourse, meaning you don't owe anything on that property. If there's a problem, the only security for that loan is the property. There's also a difference because you can get money at closing on commercial properties. For example, on a residential home, it's all cut and dry and there's usually not a tenant in there. However, with a commercial property, you get credited back at closing for security deposits. You get credited back for prorated rent. You can also get money back at closing for repairs or credits from the seller which is easier to do in a commercial transaction because it's not as heavily regulated as a residential transaction. Another difference is the sophistication of the parties. Basically, in a residential transaction, the government assumes both parties are unqualified, let's put it that way. And there's a lot of protection for the buyer in a residential transaction. In commercial properties, they call it sophistication of partners, and they generally assume that, hey, everybody involved in the commercial transaction knows what they're doing and that they all have legal representation, which you do want both of. The last major benefit between commercial and residential is how you can take title to a property. Most times, under a traditional method, when you take title to a house, you're taking it in your name. When you buy a commercial property, it's generally taken in an LLC, limited partnership, etc., in some business name. That business structure gives you legal protection, protecting your own assets. It gives you the ability easier to have partners and other investors involved. The bottom line, start your investing career, if you don't have any experience, any business knowledge right now, with single family. Learn that in and out before you go on to the next. You'll get hurt less and you'll understand it a lot quicker. But move on to commercial real estate, in my opinion, as soon as you can, unless you're planning on managing all those single family homes you're going to be buying.